the most difficult thing about PLAB 2 is that the material that you have to go through, the syllabus is too long. It's too overwhelming. Okay, they keep on including new stations as well. So that's the thing that, and also the kind of knowledge that you need is not that you will, it is like one of the reading things that you will read just once and then you will be fine. Whatever knowledge you have, it has to be flawless knowledge. Such a flawless knowledge. I always give example to my doctors that such a flawless knowledge that during the exam, you do not have to give it a second thought. It just have to come out of your mouth flawlessly. That's why a lot of revision, a lot of practice is needed. Now, because the syllabus is so much, there are too many stations. That's why to make my life easier, how I did it was that I grouped the symptoms together. And for each group of the symptoms, I had a different kind of an approach. Okay. And now that's what is being helpful while I'm teaching in my sessions and during my course as well. Why my doctors are finding it different than other courses and academies, because I have an approach for everything. Okay. So having an approach means that, you know, you can just apply it to a group of stations. You don't have to study, you know, you just have one approach and any stations appear in your exam. Under that approach, you can just, solve that. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to teach you today the skin conditions or the dermatology pattern. Okay. Right. All right, doctors, let me see how many of you are here. About 19. Not the usual strength, which we usually have, near 100. Usually the number is that huge, but that's still fine. At least some of you will be benefited. And yes, doctors, because, you know, our paid course is starting from Monday. And once the paid course starts, it becomes very challenging for me to do free sessions. So I try whenever I have a week or two break in between my paid course, I try to do as many free sessions I can. So that's why I just thought that, you know, I will just do a quick session on skin conditions. All right. Okay. All right, doctor. So let's start without, I think it must be quite late in many of the countries. It might be late night. So I wouldn't take a lot of time, and also I wouldn't make it even more later so that we can finish it off within an hour. All right. Now, doctors, whenever your normal, usually whatever the history stations are, now most of your dermatology station in your PLAB2 exam, they are under the normal diagnosis, history taking and diagnosis station. Okay. Now, when I'm not taking a proper course and when I'm teaching these random sessions, for me, it becomes quite difficult because we haven't built a context. We haven't built a base. Okay. But I will try to make you understand. Now, there are different types of stations in your PLAB2 exam. For example, there are normal history taking and diagnosis stations where you are supposed to diagnose a condition, okay, and you are supposed to take history. You will give the provisional diagnosis to the patient, okay, and you will manage that patient, all right, and you will manage the patient. Now, most of your dermatology stations are under this kind of category, okay. The skin stations are not examination stations solely, okay, and also they are not a combined station. What I call a combined station is where you are supposed to do an examination as well as history taking and management is there as well. Okay. Now, doctors, this station, the skin station, dermatology stations, whatever 6, 7, 8 stations are there in your PLAB2 syllabus, all of these are under this category. What I mean by this category, that there is a condition, you are supposed to diagnose it. Okay, you are supposed to diagnose it, and you will tell the management. Okay, you will take history, which is your data gathering in your exam. Then you will reveal the diagnosis to the patient, and then you will manage the condition. Okay, you'll manage the condition. Those are the types of stations that you have under dermatology. Now, one or two stations can be, having an extra bit. Now, what I mean to say by extra bit, now extra bit is that they can be having, the patients could be having some concerns. Okay, patient could be having some concerns. For example, your acne station. Okay, acne patient has lots of concern. Now, another ethical issue kind of thing also they have added to the acne station. Now, what is that? The ethical issue that they have added to your acne station is that whether or not you will prescribe your patient isotretinoin in GP surgery or not. Okay, so you should know that some of the academies just miss this point. They do not tell their their doctors that whether they can prescribe, they are allowed to prescribe isotretinoin in GP surgery, because usually where you will be in your acne station, you will be in GP surgery. Okay, so just keep an eye on those kind of things, on those kind of small things. And also there is a cancer approach as well in one of your skin station, dermatology station, which is a skin cancer, okay, squamous cell carcinoma station. Okay, so those are just the extra bits. Otherwise, these are just a data gathering stations. Okay, they are still data gathering stations. All right. Yes, doctors, we are not supposed to prescribe it. When I do when I teach in my course, the separate acne station, I go in detail that why we cannot prescribe it. Okay, but just for now, just remember that you are not supposed to prescribe isotretinoin as a GP. Only the specialist doctor can prescribe isotretinoin. Okay, now doctors miss a very important point there in acne station. They think that because only specialist going to prescribe, so I will not even tell any side effects. I will not even warn the lady about using it during pregnancy or not. Okay, I will not warn her about double contraception. You will still warn her. You will still tell her about everything. Okay, and I give my doctors, usually I give my doctors the logic that why am I supposed to tell everything to the patient. Well, doctors, let's start from the beginning. Okay, and then we'll come back to acne again. All right. Okay, doctors. So doctors, always in your, now doctors, doing this station can give you another benefit, that I will go through kind of a normal normal history pattern. Okay, what is our very usual history pattern in our PLAB2 exam as well. Okay, so doctors, we always first of all always when a patient comes with a complaint, okay, patient comes with a complaint, the main complaint is always what? That is your P1. Okay, that is P1. P1 is your main complaint always. When you have introduced yourself to the patient, after that, when you ask the patient, first of all, you introduce yourself. How do you start your station? You introduce yourself. You say that, hello, I'm Asya, one of the junior doctors in whatsoever department. For example, I'm in medical department. So I will say that, hello, I'm Asya, one of the junior doctors here in medical department. Can you please confirm your name and age for me? Now the patient confirms their name and age. They have told me their name, and then I will say that, nice to meet you, Mr. John. Okay, if it is Mr. John. Now doctors, if they are elderly, any elderly patients in your PLAB2 exam, what do you call them? Usually you tend to call them Mr. Okay, you tend to call them Mr., Miss, or Mrs. Whatever their title is. Where do you know the title? You can even notice the title in the task. And the secondly, okay, secondly, they will also tell you that what is their name. Sometimes patient will say to you that you can call me John. Okay. Also, teenagers, doctors, do not, when you are talking to a teenager in your PLAB 2 exam, do not call them by their title. Okay. You can be a little bit casual with them. Okay. So you can call them, you can even ask them, how may I address you? Okay. Now, elderly, you can skip that extra question. You can just go ahead with Mr. John or Mrs. Maria. If they would like to be called, directly like that, that call me by my name, call me Andrew, call me David, they will say it to you. Okay. They will say it to you. Don't worry about that. Now we are done with the introduction part. After you know the patient's name, you always say this, that nice to meet you, John. Okay, until or unless patient is, it's an emergency and patient is dying, patient is in horrible pain. Otherwise, you always say to the patient that nice to meet you. Okay, nice to meet you. Now, next question, no, next thing you always say after nice to meet you is that, how may I help you today? Okay, how may I help you today? Now, in concern stations or your counseling stations, we start the station differently. I always teach my doctors every type of station that how do we start it. But for now, let's just stick to our skin pattern. Okay. So you will, after that, you will ask the patient that, how may I help you? Okay. How may I help you? Now, doctors, after that, after patient tells you that, doctor, I have this mole here. Okay. Or doctor, I have this rash here. So what do? Will you ask, will you ask an open question first, or you will explore it by OD para? You will always ask open question first. Doctors, I always emphasize on this. Okay? There are question in your PLAB to history taking. Okay, what can give you so much cues, so much clues towards your diagnosis. Okay, now the first question is your very first question right after the introduction. That is your open question. Why do I say that open question is very important? Now, doctors, when they come from academy, they think they have to do all the components of OD para. Okay, they have to do all the components of OD para. Okay, onset, duration, intensity, progression, aggression, relieving factors, and uh, aggravating factors. Okay, so that is OD para. Okay, that is OD para. Doctors, don't think that I will just remember OD para, I will go to the exam and I will do OD para to the main complaint. Doctors, please don't do that to yourself. Always remember the questions. Write your questions, OD para questions. And while you are making a cup of coffee every day for you, or maybe when you are just about to eat your dinner, write all those 4 or 5 questions of OD para on a paper and hang them, stick them next to your drawer or your, even before sleeping every night. What are OD para questions? Don't remember OD para. Remember OD para questions. Okay, that when did it happen? How did it happen? Anything makes it better? Anything makes it worse? Have you taken any medications for this? Have you seen any doctor for this? Okay, those are your OD para questions. When did it start? How did it start? And all of that. Okay, doctors, please refrain yourself from writing on the slide. Okay, I know it's very like you feel like writing, but please try not to. Okay, doctor, just give me a minute. Okay, so doctors, I hope you've gotten my point. I know many doctors who come from academy, go to their exam, and they think that, to main complaint, I will do OD para. I will remember that how do I explore my main complaint? I will do OD para. Please, in your exam, when you appear in the cubicle, you will be lost. unless or until you know how do I ask these questions. Okay, how do I ask OD para questions? So remember the questions. Now I told you before doing OD para, you'll ask your golden question. I'll give you a logic why that I call it a golden question. Your open question, doctors, give you so much information. Why it gives you so much information? When you ask the patient, can you please pay, when you said how may I help you, patient told you their complaint. Okay, and now your next step is you will tell the patient that can you please tell me more about it. That is your open question. Can you please tell me more about it? Well doctor, it started last night. Or if it is a mole, for example, in case of your skin, mole or a rash, for example, patient says doctor, it started couple of days ago, now it's been very itchy, and I think when I'm going near the plants and everything, or if I'm washing it, it's making it even worse. Okay, so did you see that your patient is already giving you so many clues? Do you need to spend so much time on your OD para now? On set, patient already told you that doctor started 2 days ago. Now please, you will make the biggest mistake in your PLAB2 exam if you repeat yourself again. If you have asked a question, or for example, if patient has told you something already and you are repeating a question, you are deciding that I want to fail. You know why? Because they will mark you. There is a label. Doctors, when I do doctor, okay, now some of the doctors are running some courses and they also like to be nosy, and they like to just attend for fun. They like to attend, they already have done their PLAB2 exams, and they like to attend the sessions. I don't know Dr. Nada as well. I don't know if she's the one who's already taking the or anybody knows Dr. Nada, because I know one Dr. Nada who's running a PLAB2 course. Okay. All right. So if you don't know her, then I will not let her in. Okay, because they're just being nosy, and they just want to enter and see that how the others are doing. Okay. All right, doctors. So anyways, let's not talk about negative things. All right, doctors. So what do we do? Now you have asked your patient. Now you know that we have asked our patient. Now sometimes when you're asking the open question, you will already be you know, some of the things your OD para patient has already covered, so you don't need to repeat the questions. Now how you will ask me, Dr. Asya, how do I know that patient has already covered some parts of when did it start, how did it start, okay, how severe it is, okay, how severe it is, and anything makes it better, anything makes it worse. Now your patient, how you can be sure of that? You can recap, okay, whatever, after asking the open question, you can recap it. Okay, you can recap it. You can say to the patient that Mr. John, you've just told me that you had this rash it started 2 days ago. Now you said that by washing and by going near to the plants or while gardening it gets worse, and you have used some emollient on it, and it used to help before, but now it's not helping. Am I right, Mr. John? Mr. John will say, yes, doctor, you are right. Now, by repeating those things, you have reminded yourself that, yes, patient has already told me some components of OD para. Now, whatever the remaining questions are there, for example, he has not told you. He has not told you that what makes it worse or what makes it better. Then you can ask him aggravating and relieving factor question. Do you know, Mr. John, what makes it, anything makes it worse by any chance? Anything makes it better by any chance? So Dr. C, please, please, I request you, do not remember OD para for exploring the symptom. Always remember the questions. Okay, what are the questions? This is only for your convenience, okay, so that you remember, you do not miss any question. But what you should do, I told you that write on a piece of paper those questions, OD para questions. That is, you know, that in absolutely almost about 10, 12 stations, okay. For example, if there are 8 or 10 stations which are diagnosis station in your PLAB2 exam, what will you do? You'll have to do OD para, isn't it? You have to explore your main complaint, isn't it? So please write down your questions. Now, doctors, one thing, okay, one thing very important in your PLAB2 exam is the psychosocial part. The psychosocial part is very, very important in your PLAB2 exam. You will be, they will consider you a very good doctor if you deal with the psychosocial part first, okay. Now, especially the stations where you there's use your common sense and you think that this condition can actually affect my patient's mood, okay. For example, now you will say that, Dr. Asya, how can skin conditions actually affect patient's mood? You see, first of all, ask the patient that how is your mood these days, okay. Or you can ask the patient that, what if it is an acne patient, for example, acne patient, or a patient who has a mole on their face somewhere, okay. If they are an actor or actress by profession, okay, if they are an actor or actresses, see, now for a normal person, anything on their skin might not be so significant, but for a patient, for a patient who is actually an actor, or their profession is related, or their occupation is related to their appearances, then what can happen? They can go into depression even, okay. They can even go into depression. So how do I check depression? How do I check suicidal patients in my PLAB2 exam? I check by asking their mood, okay. That's why psychosocial part in your skin conditions is very important, and they will consider you a good doctor if you deal with the psychosocial part first. What is the psychosocial part? Their, you know, their day-to-day living. How is their mood? Is this condition affecting their sleep or their mood at all? Is it affecting your work in any way? Okay, is it affecting your work in any way? That's how you will ask your patient whether it's affecting their mood, their work, or their sleep. Doctors, even if you choose to not ask it in any other stations, for example, you can deal with psychosocial later in your eczema station, for example, or wheals station, for example. You can ask it later, but especially mole station and your acne station, please ask this part early on, okay. What I mean to say by early on, even before asking rest of the questions, once you have explored the symptom, okay, once you have explored the main symptom, ask the patient, Mrs. Now sometimes you can use a third person reference. You can say that, Mrs. Maria or Miss Maria, I know that we sometimes this condition can affect patient's mood sometimes. Is that the case for you? Is it affecting your sleep at all? Are you able to sleep? Doctors, when I am asking question, because there is no one to answer me, that's why I keep on saying questions. Never make a mistake to ask 2 or 3 questions together. Just keep yourself in patient's place and imagine if somebody asked you 2, 3 questions all together, how would you feel? How would you feel? You wouldn't feel good, okay. You wouldn't feel good. You would feel like, what the hell is going on? Why this person is asking me so many questions? He's not letting me or giving me any chance to answer. So always ask one by one questions, okay. Always ask one by one questions. So doctors, you will deal with psychosocial part. Now doctors, I really like this guy, Aman Arora. I'm not related to him in any way, and I just know him. I have never attended any of his sessions or course. I just know him from YouTube, and some of my friends have attended his webinars in here in the UK. Now he's a very good educationist in the UK. He trains GPs. He says whenever he's doing a PLAB 2 webinar, or he does the immersion course for PLAB 2, he always says, okay, he always says that do your psychosocial part early on, okay. And I'm sure that he is saying it with authenticity, because he has worked long years in the UK. He has been working in education sector for a long time. If he's saying that it's worth to deal with patient psychosocial, you know why, doctors? Psychosocial part, if you deal with it early on, you're also proving that you are a sympathetic and empathetic doctor. You are a caring doctor, you're a kind doctor. That's what will increase your interpersonal skills score as well. Okay. All right, doctors, that's why we asked our psychosocial questions first. Okay. Now, doctors, why have I written contact in red? Okay. Just keep that in mind, and I will talk to you in a minute. Okay. I'll talk to you about the contact in a minute. Okay. Now, doctors, we have explored the main symptoms. Okay. We explored the main symptom. We have asked the psychosocial question. Okay. Then what do we do? Anything, anything, any rash, any skin condition in your PLAB exam, you can explore it by asking these questions. Okay. By asking these questions. What is the size? I call it SSCC. Okay, SSCC approach. Okay, SSCC approach. You will ask what is first S. First S is size. What is the size of it? For example, if it is a mole, if it is rash, okay, any skin condition, okay, what is the size? What is the shape? What is the color of it? Okay, and your fourth C is contact. Okay, contact. Now, when you're asking the color question, doctors, please don't forget to ask any changes in the color. Okay, any changes in the color. For example, in your mole station, okay, in your mole station, changes in the color, changes in the size and shape will lead to what? Any mole which starts changing in size, shape, and color, you know that it's leading towards melanoma, and that is different. Melanoma is a cancer, right? So that's why you ask any change in the color, size, or shape. First, you ask what is the size, what is the shape, what is the color. Then you ask any change at all in those. So you use SSCC approach, okay? And then after that, doctors, you ask about contact. All the skin conditions, you can apply these double S and double C approach. All the skin conditions. Okay. And you can ask the patient, have you come in contact with anyone with the same symptoms or with the similar symptoms? That is your contact question. Have you come in contact with anyone? Mr. John, have you come in contact with? Now, doctors, please use patient's name couple of times during your station. That will show that you have good listening. You can remember the patient's name. Patient will feel closer to you, okay, and they will feel more comfortable. But don't overuse it. Some doctors, with every sentence, they will use patient's name. What will happen? You will lose your time. I tell my doctors that please don't lose your time at any cost. Why? Because by losing your time, even the 10 seconds, 5 seconds in your every station are precious. Okay, so please be careful about that. Please careful. But I said use the name, but please don't overdo it. You use patient's name. Okay, so ask the patient that have you come in contact with anyone with the similar symptoms. That is your fourth C, by the way, doctors. Fourth C. Now you can ask any pet at all, any person, or any plant. Have you come in contact with anyone with the similar symptoms? For example, any pet or person. And then you can ask, does your symptoms get worse when you get closer to plants? If the patient has not told it to you early on, to, when you ask the open question or when you asked OD para, if they have not told you about the plants, then you can ask about the plant as well. Okay. So contact, doctors, contact question. All right. Now, doctors, you will say that Dr. Asia, you have written here contact, and contact, you why you have written it separately. Doctors, see, now about 80%, you can say 70 to 80% of your skin conditions can be contagious. Okay. Now you will say how, doctor? For example, your scabies is contagious. Your impetigo, okay, your impetigo, that is contagious. Okay. Your fungal infection is contagious. Okay. So loss of your skin conditions can be contagious, you know. Okay. Even super infection on eczema can be contagious too, right? A super infection, a bacterial infection on top of an eczema. We know when there is a break through the skin, if the patient is scratching too much and that leads to super infection, even that can be contagious, right? So that's why asking about the contact question is so important in your skin conditions. So please don't forget the contact question. Please ask, have you come in contact with anyone having the similar kind of symptoms? Okay. All right, doctors. Doctors, now after you have explored, before you ask the differential diagnosis, okay, before you start ruling out, please at this age ask the patient, is there anything in particular you are concerned about? If you don't like to ask, or if you think that I will not remember this here, then always do ICE at the end of your history taking. Do ICE, okay? Do ICE. Now you will say, Dr. Asia, what is ICE? What do you mean by doing ICE at the end of my every history taking? Okay. Now I is for ideas. Okay. I is for ideas. Now ideas question we usually ask before, just about when we are going to tell the patient about the provisional diagnosis. When I'm just about to tell the patient about the provisional diagnosis, I ask my patient, do you have any idea what it could be? It does two things, doctors. Two things. Idea question does two things. First thing is that you will get an idea. Okay, you will get an idea that patient is already mentally prepared to listen to this condition. Also, if your diagnosis was something else, patient can give you some cues, okay, or some clues by asking this question. Okay, so that is I for ideas. Okay, and when do you ask that question? Just before telling the provisional diagnosis. Okay, before you give the patient provisional diagnosis, you will say that, do you have any idea at all that what it could be? Okay, it could be. All right, or you can even say that, do you think, what do you think could be causing your symptoms? Any idea about that? Any idea what could be causing your symptoms? Okay, that is your I. Now what is C? C is for concerns. Doctors, why have I put concerns early on? Doctors, putting concerns early on, actually you know that patient is worried about something and they will give you a hint and clue about the diagnosis so that you can become easy early on. And asking the patient's concern also shows that you are a very vigilant doctor. You are a safe doctor, and that's what they are looking for. Okay. However, you have the choice of doing that or asking the concern question at the end of your station as well, at the end of history taking. Is there, now how do you ask the concern question? Mr. John, is there anything in particular that you are concerned about today? Okay. Or how you can say that, is there anything in particular or anything in specific that you are worried about? Okay, anything in particular that you are worried about? Okay, that's your concern question. Now ICE, in ICE, E is for expectation. Okay, that is also doing ICE at the end of history taking. You will ask at the end of history taking, you will ask the patient expectation question. In ICE, I is for ideas, C is for concerns, and E is for expectations. Okay, so you ask the patient that is there anything in particular that you were expecting from today's consultation. For example, patient expecting from you in skin conditions, for example, in case of a mole, patient is expecting that you will remove the mole. In case of a skin infection, for example, impetigo, patient expecting from you for an antibiotic cream or antibiotic tablets. Okay, so those kind of things. Okay, why you're asking expectation question, that's why you're asking. In your headache stations, for example, patient might, when you ask the expectation question, patient might say, yes doctor, I'm expecting that you, if you could do a CT scan in today's consultation. Patient coming with a tummy pain or gastroenteritis, they might say that, doctor, is it something serious? Can you please do an ultrasound for me? So you will tell the patient, when you will not do a CT scan, when you will not do an ultrasound scan, you will tell the patient that in which situation do you do these scans. A patient coming with a tension headache, can you do a CT scan for them? No. So you will just explain to the patient that what I'm expecting, a CT scan is not needed for that. Okay, and you then you can give your patient a provisional diagnosis. Okay, so that is ICE at the end of your consultation. Why I brought up ICE, doctors? Because I said that concerns you can ask from the ICE, you can take away C or concern, and you can ask the concern question just after exploring your main complaint. Okay, now your main complaint or your skin conditions, after asking OD-para, you will do psychosocial, and then you will explore the skin condition by double S and double C. Size, shape, color, any change in the size, shape, color at all. Then you will ask the contact question. Okay, contact question. Have you come in contact with anyone like that? Okay, now next step, doctors, next step is DDs, your differential diagnosis. Okay, your differential diagnosis. Now, doctors, in most of your stations, okay, most of your dermatology stations, you will always ask these STI. Can you also write PID? Okay, PID. With SSC, doctors, can you write PID as well? Here, PID. Now, what is PID? With any skin condition, I will ask about size, shape, color. Okay, what is the size? What is the shape? What is the color? Any change in them? And then I'll ask the contact. Okay, contact history. Have you come in contact with anyone having this condition? And then you will write PID. Okay, sorry, I'm missing here PID. Can you please write PID here? PID. Okay, PID. Now, what is P? What is P for? P is for pain. Okay, P is for pain. Okay, are you having any pain at all? Okay, any pain at all? You're asking in the skin condition, any pain at all? I is for itching. Do you have any itching on your lesion or on your acne or on your rash? Any itching at all? And your third question after that is D for discharge. Any discharge at all out of your lesions, whether it is a skin lesion like mole melanoma or squamous cell carcinoma, or if it is acne, or if it is eczema, or if it is impetigo, okay, whatever it is, or it is a rash, or if it is a rash. So PID is for, after asking SSCC questions, you will ask PID questions. Any pain, any itching, any discharge. Now, doctors, these mnemonics I made for my own convenience when I was doing my exams. Now, I hope that these will help you as well, just making your life easier. Okay? All right, doctors? So, after that, doctors, you will add, every condition will have its own 2 to 3 differentials. Okay? Its own 2 to 3 differential diagnosis you will always ask,
But in differentials, you can always add these three questions in your differential diagnosis questions. Okay, in absolutely all dermatology stations, you can ask about any insect bite at all. Okay, any insect bite at all, any trauma at all. Did you hurt yourself? Okay, did you get any hurt, or did you hurt your skin at all? Did you get injured at all? Okay, that's your trauma question. And then you ask the patient about sun exposure and sun beds. Okay, now doctors here in the UK, the skin conditions are very common. The rashes, the mole, melanomas, squamous cell carcinomas. Why? Because there are fair skin people. Okay, there are fair skin, and also UK is on high altitude, and it gets lots of infrared rays throughout the Europe, doctors. The skin, when you come here in the UK, you'll realize that you will get tan very easily as well. Okay, why? Because the sunlight is different, loss of infrared rays. And why? Now those things can lead to what? The skin cancers, rashes, burns. Okay, that's why any patient coming with any skin conditions, we have to ask them that have they exposed. And they love sun exposure. They, by the way, they love sun exposure. So ask the patient, how do you ask the sun exposure question? You ask the patient, have you exposed yourself to the sun? Have you exposed yourself? Or you can say that, have you had any prolonged sun exposure recently? Did you have any prolonged sun exposure recently? Or you can ask the patient, Dr. C, in my course, during my course, I always tell my doctors that you should ask question different ways. That's how they will not punish you in PLAB 2 exam for being scripted. Every question I tell 2-3 ways, because all the 35 or 40 doctors that I have taught already, all of them shouldn't go into the exam and ask the question same way. Otherwise, they will all sound scripted. You should sound yourself. Okay, that's why you learn the rephrasing or paraphrasing in your OET or IELTS, right? Okay. Now also ask the patient after the sun exposure, any sunbeds. Okay, have you gone in for any sun tanning or sun beds at all? Okay, have you gone for any sun beds or sun tanning at all? Sorry. Uh, Now, doctors, some of you who are already living not exposed to the UK, you might not know what are sun beds. Here in the UK, they have beauty salons. In beauty salons and even in normal salons, they have these sun beds where a person can go lie down and they can artificially, it's like a cabin, like a little cabin where there is a big light on top of you, and you lie down underneath it and you get the artificial tanning effect. Okay, you'll get the artificial tanning effect just like as you get tanned in the sun. Okay, so those are called sunbeds. So you ask sun exposure and sunbed question. Okay, now to make your life easy, I have written that you will add, obviously every skin condition will have 1 to 2 or 2 to 3 differential diagnoses of its own. Doctors, please can you mute yourself? Okay, so STI, to make your life easy, doctors, I have written here STI. Okay, STI. So you can ask the patient, S is for sun exposure, T is for trauma, and I is for insect bite. Okay, now your next step is, doctors, you will rule out the red flags. Okay, you will rule out the red flags and you will ask the flaws questions. Okay, what are flaws? Now, F is for fever. Okay, fever. Doctors, oh my God, what is happening? Okay. Okay, doctors. So doctors, what are flaws? What are flaws question? Flaws, doctors, one thing before I say that F is for fever, can I please emphasize on one thing? Whenever you are suspecting something infectious in your PLAB 2 exam, can you please bring on the fever question early on? What do I mean by bringing up the fever question early on? That right after exploring the skin condition, you will ask the patient about the fever. Do you have any fever at all? For example, when you are done with SSCC questions, PID questions, then you can ask the patient about the fever. If you are suspecting something infectious, for example, any rash which is a meningitis rash, any rash which is like impetigo, okay? So if you're suspecting that it could be an infectious condition, please bring on the fever question early on. Otherwise, your fever question is here anyway, okay? Which is flaws. Now, why we call flaws red flags questions? Because you are ruling out the serious things. What I mean to say by serious things is that you are ruling out cancers, okay? You are ruling out cancers. So F is for fever. L is for any lumps and bumps, okay? Do you have any lumps and bumps in your body anywhere at all? And also L is for lethargy, okay? So you ask the patient, are you feeling tired or short of breath at all? Okay, you know that cancer symptoms have anemia, right? Cancer patients usually get anemic and they can be short of breath. They can be tired, okay? So ask the patient, any breathing difficulty, or have you been short of breath? Have you been feeling tired recently? Have you been feeling tired recently? Okay. And then you ask about appetite. How's your appetite these days? Okay. Then weight question, doctors, weight. Okay. So you can ask the patient that, tell me about, have you lost any weight at all? Okay. Have you lost any weight at all recently? And S is for sweating. Okay. Any night sweats at all? You know the cancers have night sweats. So ask the patient any night sweats at all. S is for night sweats. Okay. So those are your red flags questions, flaws. Okay. Now, after the flaws, your next step is P2. Okay. Your P1 is your presenting complaint. Okay. P2 has two components, doctors. P2 has two components. Now, the first component is P2A. Okay. P2A. First component is P2A. Now, what is P2A? P2A is past history of presenting complaint. Okay. Have you had similar kind of symptoms? Okay. Have you had similar kind of symptoms in the past as well? Okay. Is it the first time? Has this rash appeared the first time, or have you ever had it before? So that is what is called past history of presenting complaint. The similar symptoms in the past, for example, doctors, similar symptoms in the past. That is P2A question. Okay. Your P2A. Now, what is your P2B? It's the past history of medical conditions. Okay, past history of past medical history, patient's past medical history. If they had any other medical conditions in the past. So ask the patient. Now, particularly for your skin conditions, in past conditions, what is particularly important is having patient immunocompromised. They will easily have skin infections like impetigo. They will easily be developing some conditions like, you know, the fungal infections. For example, any patient on steroids or any patient on diabetic patient are immunocompromised. Okay, you know that, you know, your pregnant patients, they are immunocompromised. They can have skin conditions like impetigo or eczema. Okay, so that's why, doctors, you will ask, that's why I have written immunosuppressed. Okay, in medical conditions, doctors, some of the medical conditions you can always ask. Okay, but whenever you are doing a particular station or a particular group of stations, then you have to add one or two extra medical condition. Okay, now there are 4 to 5 medical conditions that you can always ask. Okay, now what are the 4 medical conditions you always ask in past history? The first one is any high blood pressure at all. Don't say hypertension to the patient. I know most of you are so used to of saying hypertension, but please don't say, because you will be punished for using medical jargons. So don't say hypertension. Don't say diabetes. Okay? Say any high blood sugar at all, any high blood pressure at all. Number three, any heart conditions at all. Okay, any heart conditions at all. All right. You can even ask stroke and mini stroke, but it is not very relevant here, doctors. And if it is a young patient, it's okay. Don't ask him about stroke. Okay. So you can skip asking that question. Instead, you can ask that any other medical conditions at all. And then about the steroids, you can even find out in Maftosa. Okay, you can ask in medications. M is for medications. Okay, so you can ask about the steroids, immunosuppressing conditions that lower the immunity of the patient. Okay. Okay. So doctors, then doctors, I will answer your queries afterwards. Okay. DESA, okay, diet. D is for DESA. D is for diet. Okay. How is your diet these days? Okay. How is your diet these days? Or can you please quickly walk me through your diet? Okay. Doctors, I always say to my doctors that in your PLAB2 exam, you can just, for the sake of it, because you want to know about the patient's lifestyle, and that's your complete history, that's what completes your history. So if you say to me, Dr. Asya, if I don't ask about the patient diet, exercise, smoking, alcohol, is it okay? How can you not ask, doctors? See, it's very important. If it is affecting, patient is not able to eat, for example, impetigo is usually around the mouth. I know it is in young children, but is it possible that it cannot happen at all in adults? No, right? So they might be having a fungal infection, or that could be causing them not to eat properly. So you need to ask about patient's diet, right? So you'll ask, can you please quickly walk me through your diet? Or you can say, how is your diet these days? Okay. Doctors, if it is not relevant, in your PLAB2 exam, your simulators will always push you. They will make you go ahead quickly. They also know they will be helpful if you are doing everything right. Okay. So they will not prolong it unnecessarily. All right. So ask the question of diet. D is for diet, E is for exercise. Ask the patient that, are you physically active? Okay, are you physically active? And S is for smoking. Ask the patient that, do you smoke at all? Now in cancer stations, for example, smoking, in your squamous cell carcinoma station, patient may give you the positive history of smoking. Okay, may or may not, but ask. Okay, in cancer stations, usually they tend to give history positive for smoking. Okay. Well, doctors, when I elaborate the history during my course, I always tell my doctors that, how do we ask elaborative question about smoking whenever smoking is relevant. But for now, just remember that you will ask the patient, do you smoke at all? Do you drink alcohol at all? A is for alcohol. Okay. D is for diet. E is for exercise. S is for smoking. And A is for alcohol. Okay. Alcohol. Now, how to ask the elaborative question for alcohol as well? Maybe another day when we are discussing the medicine history, the basic medicine history, then I can explain to you that how do we ask all these kind of questions. Okay. Because whenever they are relevant, we will always elaborate them. We will always elaborate them. How to elaborate an alcohol question, how to elaborate a smoking question, I can teach you later. Okay. Or if you're attending my course, you'll be learning it anyway. Okay. Now, doctors, M is for Maftosa. Okay. After DESA, in your history taking, you ask Maftosa. Okay. M is for medications. You ask the patient, are you on any medications? We always ask any over-the-counter medications as well, any prescribed or any over-the-counter medications. Okay. Or any herbal medications. So 3 kind of medications you ask the patient. Then you ask the patient about A. A is for allergies. Are you allergic to anything, any food? Now, in your skin conditions, allergy question is very, very, very important. Okay. Now, patient, don't say that, are you allergic to any medicines? Just say a general question, are you allergic to anything at all? Or you can even be specific and you can ask the patient, are you allergic to any medications or any foods at all? Are you allergic to any medications or any foods at all? Allergies question is very, very significant for skin conditions. Please do not forget asking about allergies. Okay. Now the family, F is for family history. Now doctors, family history is particularly very important, especially for your cancer stations. Okay. Skin conditions, skin cancers have family history positive. But if you, are you going to say to the patient that, do you have any family history of cancers? If you're suspecting cancer by now, will you say that? No. There are some things in your PLAB2 exam you always signpost. You will not ask the question without signposting to the patient. Now, what do I mean by signposting to the patient? So that I don't sound offending to the patient, so that I don't sound scary to the patient, so that I do not cause any worry, unnecessary worry to my patient. That's why I will signpost without. Do you know that, you are only suspecting? If it is a squamous cell carcinoma, for example, in your dermatology, you are only suspecting. You are not sure if it is a squamous cell carcinoma or not. So you cannot say to the patient that, do you have any family history of squamous cell carcinoma? Or do you have any family history of any skin cancers? If you say like that, you are scaring the patient already. Okay. So whenever you're using a word of cancer in your PLAB exam, be very, very cautious. This small little thing can make you fail. Okay, be very cautious. So you will signpost. Now you will ask me that, Dr. Asya, how do I signpost? How can I signpost? So this is how you will signpost before asking the family history of cancers. Okay, you will say that the question that I'm going to ask might sound a bit alarming to you. Okay, might sound a bit alarming. Alarming means like bit scary. Okay, bit scary. But you cannot say now the question I'm going to ask might get you scared or might scare you. You cannot say that. You say a proper professional language. Okay, that the question that I'm going to ask might sound a bit alarming to you, but usually we ask this question as a part of our consultation. Or you can say usually we ask this question just to rule out something serious, or just to rule out that we are not missing anything serious. Okay, and then you can ask, don't wait anymore. After signposting, you always ask the question right away. Okay, you have signposted, and then you say to the patient, do you have any family history of any cancers at all? Okay, any cancers at all? Now doctors, yes doctors, I do have WhatsApp group, and the WhatsApp group is actually it's actually full. So I'm gonna send you guys my Telegram group link. One of the doctor has asked about the link, and I will send you. Okay, let me just send you the Telegram group link. Okay, so here it is, doctors, my Telegram group link. All right. Okay, someone is really dying to write down. Okay. All right, doctors. Okay, doctors. So our F is, we always ask about any alarming question or cancer word when we are going to use. We always signpost. So I told you, you will say to the patient that the question I'm going to ask you might sound a bit alarming to you. And then, but we ask this question as a part of our consultation. Or you can say, the question that I'm going to ask might sound a bit alarming to you, but we ask this question so that we are not missing anything serious. Okay. And then you can ask that, do you have any family history of any skin cancers at all? Okay. All right. So that's the family history. Now the traveling, doctor, traveling. Traveling, you will specifically ask in any infectious conditions. For example, impetigo, okay, impetigo, scabies. And the travel question you will also ask in your stations where you are suspecting a cancer or a prolonged sun exposure. You will say, Dr. Asia, why will I ask the travel when there is a prolonged sun exposure? For example, your melanoma patient or your squamous cell carcinoma patient might say to you that, yes, doctor, I have actually exposed myself under the sun. I went to Spain. When you ask about, have you traveled anywhere recently? The patient might say to you, yes, doctor, I went to Spain. Or they will mention a country which has very, very lot of sunlight. Okay. The country that has lots of sunlight. Or maybe they might name an island of Spain. So you will ask that, when was it? When did you go there? And did you expose yourself to the sun a lot over there? Yes, doctor, I did. Okay. So the traveling question is relevant there. Doctors, I always tell my doctors that in Maftosa, traveling question is always not applicable in all the history taking stations. You will mostly cut it off until or unless it is an infectious condition, it is pulmonary embolism, it is TB. Okay, so those kind of condition only you will ask the travel question. Okay, then you ask about the occupation. O is for occupation, and it has what kind of question you will ask regarding the occupation? Two simple question, maximum two. Okay, what do you do for work? Everything okay at work. Okay, what do you do for work? Everything okay at work. Okay, and then S is for psychosocial. Okay, psychosocial question. What is the psychosocial question? Always, who do you live with? Who's at home? Okay, who do you live with and who is at home? All right, now psychosocial history is very important in some of the stations. For example, if patient will not be able to, or patient will have any disability. Okay, if the patient will have any disability, who patient lives with is very important. It is also very important in psychiatry stations, as well as it is very important in some of the stations where patient is unable to hear or unable to see. But here you will just quickly ask this question and get done with. Dermatology stations, psychosocial question is not so important. Who do you live with? Okay, just ask one simple question: who do you live with, and how's everything at home? Who do you live with at home, and how's everything at home? Okay, get done with it. Now your last question, doctors. Your last question, I told you that you will start your station with a golden question and you'll end your station, your history taking with another golden question, that is anything else. Okay, your A is for anything else. Okay, so you will ask the patient that, is there anything else that I have missed out that you would like to add? Or you can say to the patient that, is there anything significant that you would like me to know? Okay, that you would want me to add to your medical records. Is there anything that I've missed out at all? You can ask this question different ways. Okay, is there anything significant that I have missed out at all? Is there anything specific that you would want to add? Okay, so you ask, that is your anything else question. All right, so that's your history pretty much, doctors, for your skin pattern. Okay, for your skin conditions. All right. Now, next slide is our last slide for today. Okay. Doctors, are you okay just with the history taking, or shall we discuss the melanoma as well? Or you're okay? Shall we discuss it tomorrow? All right, doctors. Okay, I can carry on. All right. So doctors, we have just discussed our skin history, how to take a history. Now I will apply that history to a station. Okay. will apply that history to a station, and I will tell you that how do you manage the station. Okay, that's pretty much how I go during my course, that I always, in any system, I group together the symptoms, and then I tell you a approach, and also sometimes I tell you the differential diagnosis. Okay, the differential diagnosis for that group of symptoms. Doctors, I tell the easiest way so that you can even learn the differentials then and there. Okay, it is so easy for you. All right, so that's pretty much how we do during our course as well. Okay, I give you an approach and then I apply to the stations. Okay, now I have given you a history approach. How do you apply it to the melanoma station? Okay, to the melanoma station. Now, doctors, what is the case scenario in your melanoma station? A lady will come, okay, and she will have a skin lesion. Okay, I think most of you know that you know what is a melanoma. Okay, a melanoma, a mole is usually that you know it is round, black, okay, round brown or black growth on the skin, but it does not have any discolorations. When you ask the double S and double C questions, that what is the size, what is the shape, what is the color, any change in size, shape, color at all. Okay, in your melanoma station it will be positive. Okay, in your melanoma station it will be positive. Okay, what do I mean to say that it will be positive? That patient, it will actually be, there will be actually a change in the size, a change in the shape, a change in the color of the mole now. Okay, mole becomes melanoma when there is a size, shape, there is a change in size, shape, and color. Okay, so doctors, you know that melanoma is a cancer. Now, in your skin conditions, one thing that I would like to tell you, that whenever you are going to, after the history taking, what is your next step usually? Okay, you send for initial investigations, right? Which mostly in your skin conditions, you don't need to send any investigations, initial investigations. Okay, you will do investigations, but no need to diagnose the condition. You usually don't need any investigations. Okay, most of the stations. All right, now after sending initial investigations, what is your next step usually? The next step is that you tell the management. Okay, you tell the provisional diagnosis to the patient, and then you tell the management. Okay, you will verbalize the examination right after history taking. You will verbalize the examination. Okay, you will say to the patient that now, if it is okay with you, I would like to examine you. Okay, and do you say that I would like to check your vitals? No, you will never say, because you do not want to use medical jargons. Okay, so you will say that if it is okay with you, I would like to check your observations. I would like to check your observations, which is your blood pressure, your temperature, and your heart rate, as well as I would like to have a look at your skin lesion. Okay, at your skin lesion. Doctors, I always tell my doctors that examination you should verbalize in 3 steps. You tell about observations, you tell about examining the system, and you always do a general physical examination as well. Especially cancer stations, never, never, never ever miss out on general physical examination. You'll tell me that Dr. Asia, why do we say to the patient that we also want to do a general physical examination? Hello, doctors, you know that there are lumps and bumps. Okay, there can be lymphadenopathy. Okay, patient could have lost their muscle mass because of cancer. Okay, patient could be having pain in their joints, especially back pain. The cancer could have metastasized somewhere. So do you not want to do a general physical examination? Yes, you would want to do a general physical examination. Okay, so how do you say a general physical examination to the patient? A head to toe exam. So how do you say, in case of melanoma, after you have taken the history, you will thank the patient, you will do eyes, you will say, thank you so much, Mrs. Albert, for asking all, for answering so many questions. Okay, thank you so much, Mrs. Albert, for answering all my questions. And then you will verbalize. Now, if it is okay with you, I would like to examine you. I will start by checking your observations, which is your blood pressure, your temperature, and your heart rate, as well as I would like to have a look at your skin condition. And I would also like to do a head to toe exam. A general physical examination, how do I say to my patient? A head to toe exam. Okay. Now, why did I mention all of this to you, doctors? Because at this point, almost always in your skin, in your dermatology stations, patient will give you a picture. Okay. Academies never tell you. They never go into such minute details, and you are always wondering. You are unanswered. You will have unanswered questions. Doctors, trust me, everyone, even people sitting online these days, I have seen that everyone just wants to make money. So much advertisement. Some of them have not even appeared in PLAB 2 exam, and they are selling their courses. It's very disappointing, and it's very that people are being so dishonest. I thought it was only academies, but now online people as well. The doctors also became like that. Some of them, I mean, it's to my surprise that they have not even appeared in PLAB 2 exam, and they're selling their courses. To my surprise. Okay, so anyways, let's not talk about the negativity. All right, so doctors, you will, at this point I told you that when you verbalize the examination, the patient will give you a picture of the skin lesion. Okay, a picture of the skin lesion. So now you will see, you can Google melanoma, and doctors usually what they give you in the exam, those are the, even in your scripts you will find the picture of melanoma. Okay, but if you still want to look at more pictures, usually the pictures that they give you in your PLAB 2 exam, when you Google them, and whatever the pictures come, images come on the first page, they pick images from there. Okay, so make sure you look at the images, Google images, okay, and then look at the mole or melanoma images for once. Okay, they'll pick up from there. Okay, all right. So doctors, you know, at this point, when the patient shows you the picture, you will know that it is a melanoma. It will have an irregular border. There'll be different colors. There'll be brown, blackish color. Okay, and it will be irregular in shape. And you will be able to see that very clearly that it is a cancer. It is melanoma. Okay, all right. So doctors, whenever it is a cancer in your PLAB 2 exam, do you use the word cancer to the patient, or do you give the diagnosis of cancer? Do you say that it is a cancer? No, you never say. As a junior doctor, you cannot, even a consultant without doing the investigations cannot say to the patient that you have a cancer. Even a consultant cannot do that until or unless they confirm it. They are very, in this country, they are very careful about, giving such a huge diagnosis to the patient. Patient's mood can become low. Sometimes patient can even commit suicide. Okay, not everybody has such strong stamina. All right, so we never reveal, we never say in our PLAB 2 exam that you have cancer. We only give the probability. Okay, we only give the probability of the cancer. Now, how do I give the probability of the cancer? Okay, how do I give the probability of the cancer? How do I say that you may have cancer? Okay, so you will say that now you in provisional diagnosis, you will say to the patient that from my assessment, or you can say according to my assessment and what you have told me, or you can say according to my assessment and information that you have given to me. According to my assessment and the information that you have given to me, it can be one of the two things. Okay, it can be one of the two things. So doctors, we call it in medicine, we call it worst case scenario and best case scenario approach. Okay, and that's what you are going to use. You are going to use a technique to reveal the provisional diagnosis when it is a cancer. You can pretty much apply this to the lung cancer, to the skin cancer, different kind of whatever cancers are there in your PLAB exam, doctors. Okay, you can apply it to all cancers. Okay, so you will say that the condition or the lesion that you are having, it can be one of the two things. Now, in best case scenario, it could be something like an infection or a harmless growth. Okay, it could be an infection or a harmless growth in best case scenario. Okay, now you will say in worst case scenario, or you can say however, in best case scenario, sorry, in worst case scenario, it can be something more serious. Okay, something more serious like a cancer, something more serious like a cancer. Now you have said like a cancer, pause at least 3 to 5 seconds on that. Okay, look at patient's expressions, and you will see, look at patient's face. If the patient is getting upset, you will sympathize with them first. Okay, and then you will carry on forward. All right, doctors. Now some doctors at this stage, what they would do, they will take forever, they will take a lifetime. They will say, oh, just because Dr. Aman Arora told us, or because Dr. Asia told us, or because somebody in Common Station told us, or someone in Swami Academy told us that you should pause, so I'll pause here. So they pause forever. Not more than 10 seconds, doctors. Under 10 seconds you will pause. Okay, you can count in your head 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Okay, and then carry on. Just look at patient expressions. If patient is getting sad, patient is getting anxious, I always tell my doctors, you be a mirror of your patient. Okay, that's what when the academies are saying to you, reflect, reflect, acknowledge, reflect. They are not telling you what do you even mean by acknowledge and reflect. You see how patient is feeling, and you say it from your mouth to the patient. I can see, Mrs. Maria, that it has caused a lot of anxiety, or you can say that I can see that you're getting a bit upset after hearing this. Now trust me, anyone being in your place could get upset. Anyone being in your place could get upset, or at this point you can say that a lot of questions might be crossing your mind right now. But let me reassure you, Mrs. Maria, that we are not sure yet, and we need to confirm. We need to confirm if it is anything serious at all. So in order to confirm it, we need to do some further tests. We need to do some further tests. Okay, we need to do some further tests. You will not say that we will do some more investigations, because investigations is your medical jargon. You will say we need to do some further tests. You will never use medical jargons, okay, in your PLAB exam. Otherwise, they will punish you. They will not give you good marks. All right, doctors? So then, after that, after you have revealed the provisional diagnosis of cancer in worst case scenario and best case scenario approach, okay, now you will say that in best case scenario, it could be something like an infection or a harmless growth. In worst case scenario, it could be something more serious like a cancer. And then you pause, and then you say to the patient after pausing that I can see that you are getting upset, or you can say that I can see that it must be has caused lots of loss of worry to you. Now this must have caused loss of worry to you. But don't worry, we are not sure yet. Let me reassure you that we are not sure about this yet. We need to confirm this. We need to confirm this by doing further tests. And then you come on your management. Is it okay, Mrs. Maria? Can we go further? Doctors, involving your patient is very, 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 very important. You always involve your patient in your management, okay? If you don't involve your patient in your management, your IPS scores are going to be very low, okay? So always when you are saying things to your patient, ask them, is it okay? Does that sound like a plan? When you're discussing the management plan. Does that sound like a plan to you, Mrs. Maria? How does that sound to you? Are you with me? Are you following me? After saying everything, okay, you say one sentence, two sentence of management to them. Are you still with me? Okay, are you still with me? Are you following me? Okay, so those kind of things, by saying those kind of things, you'll involve your patient. Doctors, it has to be a patient centered consultation. That's what they are looking for. Patient centered consultation. Okay, so how do you call it a patient centered consultation? When you involve your patient. Okay, so doctors, cancers always are 2-week urgent referral. Okay, 2-week urgent referral. So you will say that it is very important that we make a management plan for you. Are you with me, Mrs. Maria? Shall I carry on with that? What we'll be doing, from how will we move forward? She will say, yes, doctor. You will say that we need to refer you urgently to the specialist, okay, to the skin specialist. And it will be an urgent referral. In post, you will receive a letter. Okay, in a couple of days, you'll receive a letter, and please go for your appointment. Please go for your appointment. Now, before we send you for your specialist appointment, we would like to do some blood tests for you. Okay, we would like to do some blood tests for you. So I'll inform my senior about your condition, or you can say, I will discuss your condition with my senior. These are 7 steps of management, doctors. You can pretty much apply these steps to all your medicine stations. Okay, all your history taking and management stations, pretty much all these 7 steps. Okay, so you will say at this point that I would, after referral point, you can say that I would like to inform my senior so that we can do some further tests for you. Now the further test, you will say that we will do the baseline tests. Baseline tests are usually, doctors, it includes a full blood count. So you will say that we will do a test for you, a specific test for you to check if there is any infection or anemia, which is a full blood count. Okay, or a CBC, you can say, complete blood count, to check for an infection or anemia. We'll also do another test, which is CRP and ESR. This test is to check any inflammation in your body, as well as we will check that how well your kidneys and your liver is functioning. What is that? Kidneys and liver functioning? Kidneys and liver functioning, what is that? That is your LFTs and your liver function test and your kidney function test. So we'll also do, so in baselines, what all is included? CBC, liver function test, kidney function test, and inflammatory test. Okay, CSR and ESR and CRP. But did you see, doctors, that how did I verbalize that? Did you see how I verbalized that? So you will verbalize that way, because you do not want to use medical jargons. Okay, now you will give some lifestyle modifications to the patient. You will say that until you have seen a specialist, please make sure that you keep your lesion covered. Okay, and always use sun protection. Okay, and always use sun protection. All right, also tell the patient that they should use a broad spectrum sun protection. Okay, which covers all, for it should be a broad, but just tell your patient that please make sure that you read the label, and you make sure to use a broad spectrum sun protection. Okay, now what is the specific treatment? Specific treatment, you will tell the patient that, would you like to know what will be done? Would you like to know that what will be done at the specialist? Okay, what will be done at the specialist? Okay, and if the patient says, yes, doctor, I would like to know what the specialist will be doing. So then you can say that the specialist might take a small tissue sample. How do you say the skin biopsy? You will say that the specialist will take a small tissue sample from your skin, and they will confirm, they will send it to the lab, and they will confirm the diagnosis. Now the treatment, the further treatment will depend upon the diagnosis. Okay, the further treatment will depend upon the diagnosis. Would you like to know that in case if it is a cancer, what could be the treatment? If patient says yes, then tell the patient. If patient says, no, doctor, I don't want to know, then just carry on. Carry on, doctors. More than telling about the specialist treatment, what is important for you to pass is safety netting. Okay. If you do not tell the specialist treatment, you can still pass, but safety netting not being covered, your chances of failing increase. So you want to save yourself. So don't, it's safer for you to not go into details of the specialist treatment, rather just telling this much and go to safety netting after that. Okay. Now safety netting always, doctors, is two things. You always tell the patient of if their symptoms get worse, okay, as well as any red flags, always. Okay. In any of your PLAB 2 exams, two things: any red flags or worsening of their present symptoms, okay, or worsening of their present symptoms. So tell the patient that if there is any fever, any pain, or any discharge from your lesion, okay, if there is any fever, any pain, any discharge from your lesion, please come back to hospital. Okay, because this patient might be feeling that I might, you know what I will do, because the doctor has told me that I will be seeing a specialist, so I don't need to go to the hospital anymore. But we have to safety net them for worsening of their symptoms, right? What if there is a super infection on top of this melanoma? Okay, so you safety net your patient for worsening of the symptoms. You say to the patient, now if on this lesion, if there is any fever, okay, if you have any fever at any time, if there is pain, any itching or discharge from the lesion, please come back to hospital. Or if you feel that red flags, okay, red flags, this patient has cancers and you also have to safety net them for red flags. If anytime if you feel short of breath, you feel excessively tired, or you have any lumps and bumps appearing in your body, please let us know. Please let us know. Okay. Now, doctors, see, in your any cancer station, you'll always tell your patient this thing. Now, doctor, you'll say that Mrs. Maria, what I have told you, now I reckon that this is something that could have caused a lot of worry for you. Okay. It may cause lot of worry for you, and you might have lots of queries and questions even when you go home. So I will give you some information which you can read about your condition, as well as please feel free. Please feel free to contact us at any time. Okay. You can even book an appointment. You mentioned that your wife is at home. Even if she has any queries or any questions, please feel free to ring us, to call us back. We'll always love to answer your queries. Okay. And please don't feel alone. We are always here to help you and support you. What all I'm saying is just, 1 2 3 increasing. My IPS is increasing when I'm saying all of this. So you can say these things that I've said to you to any cancer station. Okay, any patient in your PLAB 2 exam, not just the skin cancer, any cancer station in your PLAB 2 exam. I know that this must have caused lots of anxiety, or it must have caused a lot of worry in you, what I have told you today. I reckon this. So please don't feel alone in this. If you have any questions, any queries, please let us know. Also, if you feel that your mood is low, I can give you a helpline. You can ring on that helpline anytime if you feel your mood is low. Okay. That is a suicide helpline, but don't say suicide helpline. We always give, suicide helpline to our cancer patients, but we never say that it is a suicide helpline, because you might even bring up this thought of suicide into your patient by saying that I'm giving you suicide helpline. Okay. All right. Dr. Rania is saying, why I need to inform her about the red flags. I already referred her to hospital. Just I want to inform her about the signs of infection. Yes, doctor. You want to see. Oh my God. Now, doctors, why do we ask her about the red flags as well? Because at any time, this cancer might flare up, okay? And all of sudden, this patient might not be having all full-fledged symptoms of a cancer, but it might, it might turn into a full-fledged cancer, okay? So we always tell our patient we are always prepared for the worst, okay? So that our patient is not reluctant to come back to us. Okay, that's why we tell them about the red flags. Anytime if you feel you have any lumps and bumps in your body, or you have any breathing difficulty, you're feeling excessively tired, please let us know. Please let us know. Okay, please don't say ring 999, because doctors make a mistake. If even if it is non-emergency, they say to the patient, please ring 999 for everything, safety netting, everything, ring 999. No, that's not it. Okay, so doctors follow up. You will tell the patient for follow up that you will receive a letter, an urgent appointment letter, please go for the follow up. Okay, and always follow up with the specialist as well. Okay, always keep on following up for your condition with the specialist. Okay, doctors, that was all our dermatology. I have covered the dermatology pattern today, as well as we have covered one station. So, doctors, new course is starting on Monday. Okay, it's starting on Monday. You're very welcome, doctors. You're very welcome. It was a pleasure. And if any one of you is interested in the course, please let me know. It's starting on Monday. Yes, doctors, we always mention, but if it is not an examination station, no need. Please don't waste your time. Okay, please don't waste your time by saying privacy and chaperone. Okay, only all the examination stations, you must say privacy and chaperone. Okay, but where it is not an examination station, no need to say everywhere. Okay. All right, doctors. So the new course is starting, doctors. If any one of you is interested, please let me know. Okay. It's starting on Monday. And yeah, that's great. So you can get in touch with me if you're interested in the course. All right. So doctors, thank you so much. And I shall see you soon. Okay. We have 2 to 3 days. Well, doctors, timing of the course is that it will be a 25-day course, and every day the classes are 4 to 7. Okay, 4 to 7. Rarely, sometimes it can go up until half 7. Okay, if it is something. So I make sure always that everyone is satisfied. I answer everybody's questions. So that's why I make sure that everyone is satisfied before we leave. So sometimes it can be 7 and half 7 as well. So UK time, 4 o'clock. Doctor, price of the course is £150. But if you come in group of 5, you can get a discount. Okay, so you can get a discount. You pay £100 if you come in group of 5. Okay, so you get a £50 discount. You get notes. Okay, before I had my handwritten notes, and now I'm getting prepared the slides. Okay, I'm preparing the slides. I had 1 week break, and I have been preparing the slides for my. So you will get the in PowerPoint. Okay, you'll get the slides of the notes. So you'll get very nice in computer. You'll get, so you can use all the notes for your revision. I have written all the stations in short forms, so I am not like other doctors online who are charging separately for the notes as well. Okay, for recording separately they are charging, for notes they are charging separately. No, I'm not going to rip you off. I'm not an academy. My mission is just to help you as much as I can. So I give you the notes, and I make sure that you are satisfied. And even up until you pass your exam, I answer your queries, I answer your questions. Okay. If Dr. Abdullah is still here, Dr. Abdullah, I have seen your message, and inshallah I will answer your question. Dr. Abdullah has left. Okay. That's fine. Dr. Abdullah is actually from our last batch. Dr. Farhana, you're here. I hope you're okay. Dr. Tathir, my my dear doctors from the previous courses.
Yes, Asya, I thought that I have to attend this lecture, although we attended this lecture already, but we were missing your voice, the live.
That's very nice. Thank you
Yeah,
so much, Dr. Farhana.
yeah.
And yes, anytime, doctor, you have any question, you're still, you still have me. You have me until you pass the exam. Okay.
Thank you.
So
So nice of you. And I will recommend this course to everyone if like you will get the best thing over here. I must say this.
thank you, Dr. Farhana. Thank you. That's really nice of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Uh, all right, doctors. So yes, doctors, best of luck, all of you, and I shall see you. I'll try my best. We have 3 days before my paid course starts, so I'll try my best to help you all, the ones who are not taking course. I will try my best that we have Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Let me see that, if I can conduct any sessions 3 days, 2 days, or 1 day, but I will try my best to help you all, as much as I can. Okay, doctors. So anybody has any question, any queries before I leave? No? Okay. No, everybody seems happy. So we call it a day, and yeah, see you soon. Okay, doctors, take care. And Allah Hafiz. If any one of you is not in my group, I will just post once more. I will post the Telegram group once more so that you can join it. Okay. In case you are not there. Okay, doctors, take care and see you soon. Allah Hafiz.